deeply affects so many of us who knew him and who loved him. The best way I think I can begin talking about Jack is to read something that I think very eloquently describes what Jack was. I expect to pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness that I can show to my fellow creatures, let me do it now. Let me not defer it, nor neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. Jack lived that philosophy, Jack lived that credo, and every one of us who knew him has a legacy that is very difficult to ignore. Jack loved people. Jack always wanted to help people. His life was committed to that. And unfortunately, he's gone. Jack, got to know Jack first at the Armenian General Benevolent Union when he was executive director, and then later when he moved to the diocese. My first real working relationship with Jack was back in 1973, Vartan, when I was a deputy commissioner in the Department of Public Affairs for the City of New York. That's the mayor's protocol office and office that does public events, special events. In 1973, Vartan, the City of New York was celebrating the 75th anniversary of its consolidation into one city. The 5 boroughs of Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island became one city in 1898. That was 75 years prior to 1973. Strangely and ironically enough, it was the 75th anniversary of the founding of the Armenian Diocese here in New York, actually in Boston. And so the desire was to do a commemorative event here in the city of New York. And it was decided, since New York is the home of many, many ethnic groups, why not do a festival celebrating all of the nations that live in this city. And so the City of New York's people and the diocesan people, with Jack as its captain, established the One World Festival. And for 15 years, we successfully carried that One World Festival on in New York City until 1988, when the earthquake hit Armenia, and we decided not to continue it. But Jack was the pivot and the keystone behind the events of the One World Festival, at which these various non-Armenian groups came, celebrated, participated, danced on the stage, attracted thousands of people every day, and we had programs in the cathedral. Everything that he did was to enhance and further the image of the Armenian community in this.
Jack was an exceptional human being. He was an extraordinary Armenian. He was a pragmatist. He knew how to get results. I got to know him in November 1964. I had just performed for the first time. I had come to this country in '64. I had done a little thing at the Uptown Church, and Bedros Norhad happened to be there, and he wanted me to meet Jack Antreassian, who was the executive director of AGBU at the time. AGBU was on the 40th Street. I could hardly speak English, but his warmth, actually, we had the interview in Armenian. His warmth came through, and the thing that really sticks in my mind was the practical solutions that he found for the needs that I had. And we continued our friendship. It was not a formal kind of relationship. He was that kind of a man. If he liked you, then he became your friend. Our relationship grew much more when he moved to the diocese. I think it was in 1968, and was the executive director until 75, I believe. And there he put into action all kinds of programs. He had the most incredible imagination, practical imagination, things that could be done. And he had the determination and the ability to have those things happen. One thing I remember very vividly was the Pro Musica program, to have performances of young artists in the cathedral, because at that time a piano, a Steinway, had been purchased, and we wanted to use that thing. I was, I don't know whether I was the chairman or a member of the committee, but there was this Pro Musica committee, and we would get together on a regular basis, I think once a month, and we will put together our program and what we would do and all of that. And also provide scholarships for people who were following music at given schools. Another affair that I remember very vividly, that's the talk show. Every month there will be a talk show, and certain people who were comfortable being talk show hosts would have a gathering. I remember one very, very vividly. There was Vava Sarkis and Anahid Ujemian and Nina Garsoyan, and I was the host. And I have a picture with Jack, and it's a wonderful, wonderful memory, reminiscence. Those were wonderful, and somehow, I don't know, I can't explain the reason. There will be a lot of people. A lot of people would be there also because of the Friday night Yerevan evenings. Again, it was Jack's idea. For $5, you could get a full dinner, hot dinner, with the lahmacun and the salad and the baklava and all of that. And people would come for $5, you know. This is already in the 70s. I mean, $5 was not that big an amount. And then afterwards, people would get together and play nard, tavlu, or, you know, this and that, and just talk. And at the time, I remember vividly when Jack and I saying, wouldn't it be wonderful if the diocesan complex had some kind of a gym where young people could play basketball or this and that, and they can get together, they would know each other, they would get married, and you know, Armenians would remain Armenians. That unfortunately didn't happen. Maybe perhaps one day it would happen. Also, I think we should also emphasize, I think he was terrific in that way, his literary abilities. I think the culmination of his ability to produce literary stuff. It wasn't just about him, you know. Jack was much more interested in helping others than helping him. He started the Ashot Press. Ashot was one of his brothers who had died in the Spanish War in the 30s. And he put together this press and came out with 25 books. And there is one book that he had written, I remember, and affected me very, very deeply. It was dedicated to his granddaughter, Kohar, Elise Antreassian's daughter, the older daughter. And this is one of the greatest written pieces I've ever read.